Motivation, the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. So already from this definition, it is evident that motivation requires something from us. It requires us to have a purpose, to have a reason to do something. One of the misconceptions about motivation is that it can come from the outside in. For example, maybe if we read a bunch of motivational quotes or surround ourselves with ambitious people, then we will find motivation. Now, don't get me wrong, I love motivational quotes. In fact, in my notes app, I have over 3 dozen of them. Anyways, the trouble with this type of motivation that comes from the outside in is that it doesn't last very long. Motivation has to come from the inside, otherwise it is simply temporary and ineffective in the long run. So, how do we get motivation to come from the inside? Is it a skill that takes years to master? Is it something only a select group of people can do? Not at all. To achieve true motivation, we must defeat apathy. Now, I'd like to tell you a story about a girl. During her freshman year of high school, she struggled with overthinking, which made it difficult for her to socialize and be confident in front of others. She had a lot of free time on her hands. School wasn't academically challenging for her. It didn't require much of her. Thus, she had all this free time, but nothing to do with it really. And she didn't feel like using this time to hang out with people because socializing was stressful for her. Thus, she came home every day with little to do. And after so long, this turned into a daily routine, and she began to feel useless. She lost a sense of purpose. She lost that general desire and willingness to make use of herself. Now, knowing what comes next in this story, I would say that this is where and how her depression began. As the year went on, she continued to isolate herself, and she let her overthinking get the best of her. The saddest part was that the year before, she had a lot going for her. She had all these friends, and she was happy. She had never struggled with overthinking before. She didn't understand what happened to her. With the little amount of energy she had, she focused it on trying to figure out what went wrong with her. And then, she got tired of that. She came to accept the fact that her life would be stuck like this because she didn't think there was anything she could do to make it better. And that is where she really went wrong, because that is when she let the apathy take over and sink in. She gave up on herself. For months and months, she was stuck in this mindset that she had lost control of her life. One night, her feelings came to a climax. To this day, she still struggles to explain what she felt that night, some sort of cognitive dissonance. Whatever it was a feeling she didn't like, and she sat outside for hours just trying to rid herself of the sensation. And then she did something that she hadn't thought of before, and something that she didn't think was a big deal at the time. She asked herself a question, a simple question. What am I doing with my life? She didn't feel the need to find a solution to this question, but just asking it made things seem a little better. I suppose it made her feel as though she still had some sense in her. Later that night, she wrote in a journal, and it included the following statement: I feel like no one can help me but myself at this point. This was a crucial idea that she discovered. Again, at the time, she was just expressing her thoughts. Little did she know that this would be her turning point. Basically, she recognized the fact that she had the power to make a change in her life. She was not going to let apathy or negativity rule over her anymore. So she did make a change in her life, and things did get better. Now, her depression didn't go away just like that. It came back here and there, but eventually it did go away, as she found a sense of purpose again. That girl was me, 3 years ago, and that was my story. So now, taking from that story, I'd like to do some analysis. So when negative thoughts enter our head, they can be so powerful to the point that we start to feel as though we have lost control. Really, one could say that it's a fight or flight scenario in which we either try to fight the negativity or we get scared, thinking that we have no chance, and we let negativity win. We allow negativity to win. And this mindset of letting things happen is the type of ideology that leads to apathy. Apathy attributes to a loss of motivation. According to a study by the American Psychological Association, there is a strong inverse correlation between motivation and apathy, in that the more apathy we experience, the less motivation we have, and vice versa. We can recognize apathy when we no longer feel strongly about the things that we once cared about so much. We sit back and allow life to unfold in front of us. We get stuck in this ideology because the alternative option is intimidating. The alternative would be trying to make a change to our mindset. It's completely understandable why we would not choose this option. Based on human history, going back hundreds and thousands of years, people tend to resist change because it is unknown territory, and because there's a chance that the change could make things worse. Making a change also means putting in effort. And when we get stuck in an apathetic state of mind, the last thing we want to do is invest effort in something that has no guarantee. This option seems very unappealing. So what do we do when we lose motivation and succumb to apathy? What do we do when we can't pick ourselves back up? Yeah, sure, we figured that we should probably make a change to our mindset, but how do we start? I say we start by doing something that we should practice more often. Start by questioning things. For me, that was questioning my life in general. Make your questions simple. It may seem a little arbitrary, but try it out. I mean, what do you have to lose? Inquiry is vital to change and advancement. Without asking questions, we wouldn't have the innovation of computers, or cars, or electricity, or to really throw it back, we may not even have the wheel. The way that we live is not permanent, nor should it be. So start by asking yourself on a daily basis, why does this have to be this way? Just because life is complex, and just because problems can be complex, does not mean that the solution has to be complicated. In fact, the solution could be very straightforward. When we think simply, we think clearly. So taking this skill of asking questions when we don't know what to do, we can apply that on a global scale. If we think about some of the most obvious issues that the world is facing right now, they might include hunger, poverty, and climate change. But there are issues which aren't as obvious, issues which aren't as tangible, issues which have come about because of human behavior, such as voter apathy and discrimination. With these issues, it is up to us to change our mindset. It is up to us to defy the tendency to sit back and assume that other people will take care of the issue. Once we have achieved motivation on an individual basis, we need to motivate each other. And when we do that, we are unstoppable, and the innovation will be infinite. Defeating apathy is so important. We may find ourselves motivated one day, but that motivation won't last if we don't overcome apathy. So if you ever find yourself feeling stuck with a loss of motivation, ask yourself some questions. For you, that might be, where could I be right now? Or, what am I waiting for? So ask yourself these questions and think of some solutions. Don't shy away from solutions which may require change. In fact, these are the solutions that we should strive for. I say embrace change. Change is exciting, and you never know where it will take you. I know that without change, without pushing myself, I wouldn't be up here talking to you all. I wouldn't be at this school. Thomas Jefferson said, "If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done." I told you I like motivational quotes. This is the quote that got me through the end of my freshman year and made me realize what I had to do to pick myself back up. So let me remind you again. Negativity and apathy are powerful.